Let's talk.
I'd like to play that when I get up in the morning.
It's a rousing anthem, is it not? Composed by someone in this studio with the help of a professional musician who added some frills and little bits and pieces to it. Yes.
Nice.
Very lucky to live in Marshall at that time and have help from people like that. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Shelley
That's right.
Rugg.
Yes, hello.
And Stephen Hurwitz.
Howdy do.
I'm Paul Raffel, and this is Let's Talk, which is a listener call-in show. We want to hear from everybody every week. Everyone who's listening should call in.
Oh, yeah.
And join our discussions because we don't know anything about anything. Pretty
Absolutely
much.
not.
So you don't have to.
And so we rely on the collective knowledge, the collective wisdom of listeners who call in. And the number to call is 415-663-8492 or 8317. We have two lines in the studio. When you call in, you'll hear an electronic buzzy noise as I put you into the system. So then turn down whatever you're listening to so we don't get feedback and wait for me to say you're on the air. And when you get on the air, please keep the language clean. This is a live show and we have no 7-second cutoff button. So,
this is true.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now.
All our eyes are on you, Paul.
Oh, surveillance. Surveillance. We are in the surveillance age, I think it's safe to say.
We certainly are.
Ubiquitous. Cameras everywhere, not least in everyone's phones, but mounted cameras everywhere tracking our every move, facial recognition software, drones, satellites, listening in on all your devices, tracking your emails, tracking your web where you go on the web, all your clicks.
Every click,
right.
They know it.
The cookies.
It's in there.
An interesting little photograph I saw this morning. Mark Zuckerberg in his office celebrating whatever the celebration was not long ago, I don't know, 50 million people or something. I don't know what
50 zillion.
But anyway, in the background was his laptop, and apparently it is his laptop because the geeks out there recognized it. And the camera was taped over with black tape. And so were the mics on the side.
Oh, interesting. Where do you find those?
Right here.
Oh.
On this one, I have a mid-2014 MacBook.
Yeah.
And they're on the side, two little holes on the side.
Oh, that's what you have, tape.
Yeah.
Very good.
I figured if he's doing it.
Yeah.
With
I mean,
you.
I
never thought about the microphones. Yeah,
very
or
often
speakers.
tape the camera, although, I'm not that worried about it. But, and of course, because of the sort of certain paranoia that we're all laboring under these days, that things can be seen and get taken or stolen or whatever, while we were away, while we were in Europe and traveling around cities and things, I took the tape off because I have, of course, anti-theft software on there that tracks and actually will take pictures of whoever steals the laptop so they can track him down.
Clever.
So anyway, so I'm kind of defeating
Yeah, so there's
one of those.
pros and cons, right?
Yes, pros and cons. What are
Pros
the
and cons.
pros of surveillance?
Well, certainly people who have, well, it's typically been businesses that have cameras to keep an eye on things. Who's in the parking lot, who's coming in the front door. So if something happens, they have some kind of footage to rely on to help find the culprits. And then recently, or in the more recent years, people have them in their homes now.
Mm-hmm.
For the same reason. They want to see who came up to their door and stole their Amazon package.
See what the babysitter's up to.
Which is a big one now, right?
Oh, yeah, and then there's just plain spying.
Yeah, porch pirates.
Right?
Porch pirates. It's a thing now, thanks to Amazon and all the other guys. Well,
all those friendly packages.
Ending up on your front stoop.
Yeah, and then there's, sort of spying on people in your own home.
Yes, or in places that you go and stay. There's been many cases of Airbnb, not just Airbnb, but short-term rentals with little spy cameras mounted, like in the clock face or in a smoke detector.
I'm not super surprised, but at the same time, I hadn't thought of it.
That is an invasion. I think that's a serious invasion of privacy.
And there are ways to discover them, apparently.
Okay.
I think one of the things is in the darkened room, if you have a flashlight or on your phone, you have the flashlight, you go around and it'll reflect. So if one of the dots, like it's apparently, you can actually buy all these things online. There's a clock face with a tiny little camera in the 30-second on the bottom of the dial at the 6 o'clock position.
The little mark, yeah.
And it'll show up with a flashlight if you're worried about it.
Well, certainly I wouldn't. If I were having a short-term rental, that would be disturbing to me to know that the landlord
checking on you on the inside.
Yeah.
On the outside,
coming in the front door or whatever. That's one thing, but yeah.
But now,
privacy.
Of course, now there've been 2 cases of big parties happening at Airbnbs, and bad things happening, and neighbors getting all annoyed. So that's only going to make people want more security cameras around. Make sure their Airbnb guests are not having ridiculously large parties.
But they could do that with cameras on the outside. They don't need to invade people's privacy.
They don't need to.
What really is scary to me is that every street corner now in every major city has cameras. Really, when you're walking through town, a city, there really is no place you can go where you're unobserved. It's okay. I'm not planning anything, but maybe I want to. Maybe you want to do something. No, seriously, no. Just the thought that I could be watched, and it's not even being watched. It's that they just turn back to that period of time, and then there he is. And, he was here or he was there at this particular time. Look, even your little Fast Pass, your tracker, when they say 12 minutes to Petaluma, they just mean that somebody's fast track crossed one line and crossed another line and took them 40. So they can tell where you are just by having that little fast track. Yeah, here we are.
Is it too late to worry about privacy?
Well, I think that
we're all posting ridiculous photos of food online, and there was somebody on. I think it was on Bill Maher the other night. There was a guest. It was Judd Apatow, who's just written a book, and part of his stand-up routine now is talking about how back when it was photos, when it was film, nobody sent people photos of their dinner. Nobody sent photos of their friends. I don't know, unless they were on holiday together.
Yeah.
But now it's just
because it's so easy. It's quick. It's easy. It's doable.
It's one of my pet peeves.
Well, there's the positive side too, and that is that with smartphones, and we've all seen these crazy policemen who I just recently saw one where the BART policeman stopped this guy for eating a sandwich, and
ended up beating him up or something.
No, they arrested a guy, and they call a supervisor, and don't they have training? What he could do is he could have calmed everybody down, defused this thing, and had everybody walk away with the one cop saving face.
Yeah.
But they won't save face,
No.
so you get a video of the entire transaction.
Right.
So, the positive side is these guys have to
That's
think
being shown
twice
up.
before they do stupid things.
Well,
you would
yeah.
think.
There's very little. It seems like there's very little. Let's say, I don't know, mediation training, or even recognizing mental health problems and
Right.
understanding that
Yeah.
some people don't like you to
Disabilities.
approach them
Right.
and throw him on the ground,
Well, most humans.
or even shout at them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's
a lot of
scary.
nuances to interactions with the public, and it's not about respect my uniform or I'll shoot you.
They
It
even
shouldn't
caught a
be
lie on this thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
it's very, very scary to be confronted by a police officer,
So there again now.
even if you're white.
Most police forces, right.
So
Most-
imagine if you're not. Yeah, it's even worse.
I don't get stopped very often, but when I have been pulled over, I certainly my heart rate's going up.
Right.
Just because.
You don't know. Yeah.
It's like coming to the airport. Oh, coming to the airport. Now, facial recognition at the airport. I didn't have
Oh.
to, you don't have to fill out a form anymore. You do it all on this
Oh.
little console, and then they take a photo of you. As,
Which airline? Oh, you were going international.
Coming back
coming
into
into
the country.
SFO, yeah. And so you go through immigration and all that you're doing the customs online, basically, and you go through immigration, and your face is already up on his screen as you're approaching the desk.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Fine. I'm going to show him my passport anyway. And, but as we become inured to that, we've all become accustomed to taking our shoes off, and unless you can pay to detour that whole TSA line, we've all become inured to body searches and scans. And so what is the downside? Loss of privacy? Do we care? Is it too late? Give us a call, 415-663-8492. And what I'm interested to know what people do to safeguard themselves against invasion of privacy.
Well, you can go online, and they do tell you how to make your
but we want
internet
callers
searches
to
a
call
little. No, but I'm saying a little safer.
Yeah. Well, I've for years I've been using a search engine that doesn't track.
Which one is
where
it?
you go, DuckDuckGo,
I've heard of them.
instead of Google, right? Because Google's just everything, every
Everything's
letter that goes
connected.
in that search box. Not that I'm particularly worried about anything, but why feed that whole machine if you don't have to? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it gets scary when things like what's going on in China right now with facial recognition, and that, if you're caught doing XYZ, you lose privileges, you lose the ability to travel. Any number of things can happen. And the thing, about it, on the one hand, is that facial recognition isn't always correct.
That's right. And,
That could...
False positives.
that can be a real problem for somebody that's misidentified. And
apparently, as here
Like the
we
movie
go
in
again.
Brazil, Tuttle versus
it's happening
Buttle.
all over again. Tuttle versus Buttle, right. It's happening again. When it's a white man, 95% of facial scans are correct in identifying that person. When it's a black woman, 35%.
wow. Yeah.
Well, they have an advantage then, in some sense.
Well,
or a disadvantage.
Not necessarily, because they can take you and,
You're
say
misidentified.
You're a suspect. Suspect? What do you mean? Don't argue with me. Don't resist. Zzz.
Oh, God, I know.
Stop resisting.
For me, I just think it's one more stone in the authoritarian wall that they're building.
Ooh.
No, the whole world really, the trend is to become more authoritarian.
Yeah.
And these are 1984 devices. We're just moving. They're just inching forward, inch by inch, in terms of their ability to control us, and obviously seeing us, knowing who we are, being able to listen to us and have voice recognition, know what we're saying. I mean, they might be copying this very program right now.
Oh, I certainly hope so.
And if you want to share your thoughts, please call in. The numbers are 415-663-8492 or 8317.
I want to be on every database. That's my goal. What were we saying? Yes, recording. Well, so we know that that's the thing. Years ago now, the NSA, we found out, had the ability, even if it wasn't doing it, it had the ability to listen to all phone calls in the U.S. and record them if it felt like it.
So Apple...
That was years ago. Just imagine what's happening now. What do we know about the surveillance state?
Right,
we know nothing about it. We know many years ago we were told that a satellite can read a license plate on a car. That's a long time ago that we found that out.
Yeah.
What can they do now? Facial recognition from space? Maybe. Yeah. But this morning I found a site that has all these interesting ways of protecting yourself against facial recognition.
Okay, let's hear it, Paul.
It's kind of a visual thing, unfortunately, but if you go to what's it called? And these clothes, Business Insider, actually, Business Insider, and just look for these clothes. Use outlandish designs to trick facial recognition software into thinking you're not human. One of them is a clear mask that has vertical lines on it with around the eyes you can still see through, but the rest of it has vertical lines. It kind of looks like you got a water jug on your head, one of those cut glass water jugs. So everything's kind of cut up into stripes. You can still see the face. You can still see if someone's smiling or angry or whatever.
Really?
So all the facial expressions are still there. But
interesting.
But it scrambles
it fractures the image.
The camera, the facial recognition software can't see through it.
Can't read it.
Another one is let's see. Yeah, that's that one. There's somebody, a design student came up with a little tiny projector that projects someone else's face onto yours. Which is great. There's one of a woman with, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio's face. Goggles with near-infrared lights that just scramble all it just scrambles the technology, and then just painting certain shapes. They call it dazzle, like the camouflage on Navy ships. They call that dazzling. There are certain designs, as if you have big dots up and down your forehead and down your cheeks, the camera can't tell what's dots and what's eyes and all this sort of stuff. So
before a demonstration, just everybody
exactly
gets a little dazzled.
And in Hong Kong, the authorities outlawed masks. You're not allowed to cover your face. But I saw there's somebody who makes masks that look like human faces, but they're all the same. Right?
Everybody has the same face.
It looks very real to a camera.
Oh my gosh, that guy's everywhere at once.
And here's a headscarf that sort of covers your whole head and around your neck, and it's got lots of faces printed, all big faces printed all over it. So.
Well, that's bizarre.
So people are working on
Well, they're working on
hacking the system.
Yeah, but China now is they're developing gait recognition. So if they don't see your face, you see you have a big hat on. They can recognize who you are by how you walk.
Oh,
everybody needs to have
your
a
gait.
walker.
Yeah. That's a trip.
Is that really?
I just read about it. It's just something.
Well,
I
mean,
everyone has a unique gait.
I've observed gaits before. It's just a thing I've done, and I particularly was fascinated by the gaits within a family.
Oh,
how you can tell that they're family because they walk in the same manner. It's really interesting.
What was your source for this?
My eyes.
Oh, I thought, okay.
It's just something that I personally have been fascinated with, is how people walk, and
we call that research.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe.
And we have a caller. Hi, caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please?
Good morning, Paul. It's MK.
Hi, MK.
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm wondering what they do, or whoever they is, do with all of that information. We're talking about billions of people who are being surveilled. What is it, like this huge database thing where they have Joe Blow and Henry Smith and the people who aren't doing anything very interesting, and me, who just mildly subversive in attitude as opposed to some people, but not really. I mean, I have no power in that respect, really. I just say bad things about the government on my Facebook page, but that's about it. And so, where does it all go? Do they just keep it? Do they ditch it? Do they?
Well, it probably gets analyzed by artificial intelligence.
I mean, every face is another piece of data to help artificial intelligence learn.
Right, make sense out of things.
I think it's used only on special occasions. So there's a camera on a specific street, and then there is a crime on that street at a specific time. Then they'll go back to the data and they'll look at that street at that specific time. But it's there. I mean, they don't have somebody watching every camera all the time.
No. Although I'm guessing there is someone is just collecting data all the time.
Huh.
I'm guessing NSA, no doubt, has computers that could handle that if it wanted to.
Well, the first time that I bought something from Amazon, it wasn't very spectacular. It was like an apple corer or something on Amazon, and then the next thing I know, there's an ad for apple corers on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Because they know that, and so. But I think I've become used to it, which is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do about it, but except not order anything, I guess.
Well, you're given the option
disappear
now.
into the woodwork. What?
There are options. You can set it. There are options that says you can get ads that are specific to your choices, or you can get ads that are random, have nothing to do with who you are personally. So you can actually choose.
Oh yeah.
A lot of sources you can choose which kind of ads. I choose. I want my ads actually to be something I'm interested in. I get around it by going to sites that I like, and I might look up and see what the latest Jaguars are or whatever, and then I'll get ads for Jags.
Yeah.
I think what's weirder though is when you didn't go to visit a website. You were just casually discussing with a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you see ads for that thing you were just talking about. That's where it gets a little freaky.
Actually talking in your house, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have one of those assistants, if you've got
I see.
I think even just your phone.
Alexa.
or
your
computer,
right.
Yeah. That's why Mark Zuckerberg tapes up his mic holes on his computer.
Wait a second. You're saying that they're listening in on your computer for words that would indicate something you're interested in, and then they're popping it up.
Smart TVs. Smart TVs, some of them have been rumored, I don't know if this is true, to actually have a camera in there that's watching. But they're listening. If they're on or standing by, some of them apparently have microphones that are working. So they have the ability to listen in on your conversations, and then, it's all fed it's all sold to somebody, and they start posting things that you were talking about in a room, not emailing or anything. Yeah.
Thanks for feeding my paranoia.
Hey.
Well,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm paranoid if it's true, is it?
Paranoia takes too much energy. I mean, I can't do that. I want to be a happy person. So, I try to be a happy person, and then you think that everybody's watching you, and it gets to be Oh, I don't know. I walk around the house naked when there's nobody here.
Good.
And if anybody likes it, good. Big deal.
Shocked.
75 years old. God. But I think it's easy to become complacent about it. Well, there's nothing I can do about that, so I'll just do it anyway. And meanwhile, there's all this data being collected, which is I guess we're very used to in this country being without that. That we can just do whatever we want, blase, just skipping around doing stuff.
Well, our country is run pretty much by corporations, major corporations. They get to do whatever they want in this country, and that includes, all of this collecting of data benefits big business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you have a driverless car, it's possible to know where you are, where you're going at any given time.
Sure. We hope. Otherwise.
But I'm talking about they will know.
They will know. Yeah, well.
Well, I don't know what else to say to you, but I still, I guess there's a straight data bank in the sky that's filled with useless information for the most part.
Yeah, I think it's just building data to teach machines how to track us down if they want to. Yeah, thank you, MK.
Yeah,
thanks
take care,
for calling.
people.
You too. Bye.
And the number is 415-663-8492. And this is WMR in Point Reyes Station, and KWMR is sponsored by City Sewer Pumping. Family owned and operated by Butch and Mike Jamona, serving the West Marin area since 1951. Oh, hang on, caller. I'll just read these messages and then we'll have you on. Providing complete septic services, including septic pumping, installations, repairs, and inspections. More information on their website, citysewerpumping.com, or on their Facebook page. Also reachable by phone at 415-663-1926. That's 415-663-1926. And we're also underwritten by Black Mountain Circle's 2019 Geography of Hope, honoring the sacred in the land, and presenting pilgrimage walks, films, storytelling, song circles, and art throughout 2019. Information available at gohevents.org. And we have a little beach hazard statement in effect from half an hour from now, from 1 p.m. Thursday today through tomorrow afternoon. A long-period west-northwest swell will impact the coastline from Sonoma southward through Big Sur beginning this afternoon. Forerunner waves will arrive earlier in the day today. These sneaker waves are infrequent and powerful enough to knock unsuspecting people into the ocean during otherwise deceptively light seas. Larger surf at offshore breaks and an enhanced risk of sneaker waves on northwest California beaches are expected. Steep beaches will have a higher risk of sneaker wave activity with greater wave run-up onto beaches. Large waves will also wash over jetties and rock outcroppings that may normally stay dry. People walking along the beach should never turn their back to the sea, and fishermen should avoid fishing from rocks or jetties. Be careful on the beach.
So you watch the sleeper wave come and get you instead of not knowing it's coming?
Well,
That's
yeah.
right.
If you see it coming, you can run away. But if you don't, look out.
Run away.
It wouldn't be a sleeper wave if you could see it. Oh, well. Sorry.
Sneaker wave.
Caller. Hi, you're on the air. What's your name, please?
Hi there. My name's Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Thanks for calling.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for talking.
What do you think about this surveillance issue?
It's a very large sweeping thing. And I, in regards to the last caller who was wondering, what do they do with all this data? I have a recommended book that perhaps you've heard of or not, but if not, regarding this subject, it's quite a deep dive, and it's called The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. By I think it's Shoshana Zuboff.
All right.
A Harvard professor, and it goes real deep into
what they do with all that.
Yeah, exactly. And basically what they do is they turn it into money. It's like the new gold rush. But, and that's why they want more and more from you. And that's why they're trying to get it all the little ears and eyes everywhere.
Yeah. Can you give a brief description of how that turning it into money works?
Let's see. It's like it started with Google, and they had their search engine, and they noticed that all the what you would think would be useless data, the correlative things of what time the search was did from where, these things that often get called like metadata or something, that if they collected it in aggregate and in time, just they could form these very, very detailed profiles of who you are, what you like, and what you're interested in. And then they take these profiles, and there's a whole marketplace for selling your data to advertisers.
Oh,
and it's this really very it's quite obscured, because they just want us to think that our data is worthless and it doesn't mean anything. But just using the internet and creates a vast amount of data that you can extrapolate from and actually use to make money. And so they just keep us thinking that it's fine. It's just
there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing much to it. I think they invented some interesting terms. The one I remember was like, they called it exhaust, like data exhaust or something. As if, treating it as if it was a waste product, but it's actually, it is the product.
Well,
it's what they're in the business of.
You know what they say about waste products? Where there's muck, there's brass, as they say in
Muck,
England.
there's brass?
Where there's muck, there's brass.
Oh, I haven't heard that
Which means where there's waste
stinky
products,
stuff.
there's money. Yeah.
Wow.
Indeed.
I presume this is to sell. I mean,
yeah, it is.
That's basically what you do with that data, sell something.
So that's what Facebook is making all their money on then?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Google. Yeah, all
well,
those.
Google,
you don't have to buy.
Amazon.
I mean, I'm not
Twitter.
saying they should be doing that, but you still make a purchase decision.
Well, unfortunately, it's not just that, though. It's also what you get fed online when you're online. It's because there are algorithms cover
information.
The information that we have freely given is all used to show us things we like, and maybe only one side of the story. Liberals only get the liberal side. If they go to Google News or whatever, you'll only get certain news stories coming in. Somebody else will have completely different things. They'll type in the same thing. They'll type in the same search words and get something completely different. Scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about that. It's often said that we're the product or something, or if it's free, you're the product.
Right.
But this book makes it quite clear that we're not even the product. We're the raw material. That's why there's no. I don't know. That's what makes it a little bit more scary, because we're not even going to be considered customers necessarily. That we're just the thing to be exploited.
Yeah.
So again,
What's new?
The age of surveillance capitalism. Read it, everybody. It's
Age of surveillance capitalism. Yeah, it sounds good. Thank you for that. That's great.
Indeed.
Thank you, Jess.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Yeah, please give us a call, 415-663-8492 or 8317. And if you have any ways of circumventing surveillance, let us know. I'm always interested in that. I use VPN, by the way, Virtual Private Network, which I loaded also on my phone. I have all these safeguards so that it's not telling everybody in the world where I am and what I'm doing, and I still have all that enabled. The phone still knows where I am, so somebody out there knows where I am. But most of the websites I go to, I do it on a secure server or a VPN, Virtual Private Network, so it's encrypted from end to end. Just because. Why?
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah, would you be willing to kind of type up that information and post it on our Facebook page?
Sure, I could do that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I can only tell you about the products that I have, and this is by no means an endorsement of any product.
Definitely, got it. Yeah.
Of course, if I put it on Facebook, then all I'll get will be
ads for those things.
Well, there you go.
I guess you don't have to if you don't want to.
It's worth exploring, I think. Because I'm not paranoid or anything, but we know that this is going on, and why somebody is making billions of dollars off little things, all our private information.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit that I do tend to be. I just don't pay attention. I don't try not to think about it, but I know it's not that easy for everyone. And it makes you angry when you realize you're being exploited for someone's gain.
Yeah. As Jess just said, it doesn't seem like important stuff. It could be just I don't know. It could be anything. The color of your hair, right? But it all gets pieced together, and they form this picture of you.
They have that picture so clearly. I remember reading about supermarkets that pick it up off your phone as you walk through the market. They'll tell you what products are on sale as you pass them, or
the chips on your credit cards. That's what they're for. We don't see it around here very much, but there are places, I guess, where supermarkets have these displays that light up, and
you want this?
They light up differently for different people as they come.
That's so.
Because they're reading the chip on your card, they know what you bought last time.
That's right.
I long for a simpler time.
This is why, again, traveling. All passports now have chips in them. So while I was traveling, I have 2 passports, British and U.S. The British one's about to be non-European, so maybe not. Anyway, they both have chips in them. I will keep the British one in a little pouch that doesn't allow radio frequencies RF to get out, and I would do that with my other passport while I wasn't going to use it, just because. There are people out there who want to track that, or they want to find a passport and, pickpockets. Here you go. All these guys are out there using all this information and trying to get as much information as they can from everything that you do.
Crazy. Like
you post your picture of a plate of spaghetti and they, aha.
Anyway, I wonder what they do with my videos of birds splashing in the bird bath.
It's all information.
I think when we had the thieves that came through here burglarizing, I think they caught those guys. They went to that Shell station on the way into Novato, and they changed their clothes and threw their clothes into the trash. They caught them because of the cameras there at the Shell station.
Oof. See, there you go.
There you go.
So that's a pro,
use.
right?
A good use of
catching criminals.
Catching criminals, and, just recently 3,000 in New Delhi, I think it was, 3,000 children who were lost were found through facial recognition.
Wow.
Recently. Mm-hmm. So, not bad.
Well, that seems like a good thing.
San Francisco has banned facial recognition technology in the city. So
the police.
City cameras, only for the city, not at the airport because that's federal. But they're the first major American city to block a tool that many police forces are turning to. And it was brought up by Supervisor Aaron Peskin. We're under surveillance. Venetian blinds are a wonderful thing. Aaron Peskin sponsored the bill, said that it sent a particularly strong message to the nation coming from a city transformed by tech. Part of San Francisco being a perceived headquarters for all things tech also comes with a responsibility for its local legislators. We have an outsized responsibility to regulate the excesses of technology precisely because they are headquartered here.
Wow, interesting.
Similar bans under consideration in Oakland and in Massachusetts outside of Boston. There's a bill in the Massachusetts state legislature, Capitol Hill. A bill introduced last month would ban users of commercial facial recognition technology from collecting and sharing data for identifying or tracking consumers without their consent. But it does not address the government's uses of the technology, of course, because, police forces want all this information.
Well, that sort of points out that there are human beings that are creating these things. So they're sitting. It comes down to if you can do it, it will be done. And I know that the facial recognition software in China is a product of the United States. Jeff Bezos and company are the ones that are selling it to China. So these guys does that mean they have no, does anybody in those companies who are the geeks that are making this stuff say, no, I'm not going to do this?
One would hope so, but no, of course not. Why would Jeff Bezos turn down anything that will make money? He is in business. He's not in the business of delivering packages to people. He's in the business of making money, like every capitalist. Every business owner is not in that business. They're in the business of making money. That's just a way to make money. That's how it works. It's wonderful. Of course, he doesn't have, and why would he? He doesn't have to mix with anybody, and he's probably got very sophisticated anti-surveillance stuff from his own. I'm sure, including the tape over the camera and the microphone holes on your computer. Just a reminder, they are listening in. U.S. Capitol's surveillance cam network was allegedly hijacked by Romanian ransomware suspects 2 years ago. 123 out of 187 networked computers that control Washington, D.C.'s CCTV cameras were taken over, became controlled by Romanian hackers. Now, facial recognition, all this stuff, all this surveillance stuff, what happens when it gets hacked? I mean, does it make any difference if it's hacked or not? I don't know. What did they do with this? I think they just did it just to do it. Just to show that there are back doors they can come through to get into software, which is what hackers are supposed to do, and that's how everything gets more secure. But I mean, if all these cameras could be hacked, what do they do with that? Can they subvert the, for example, facial recognition software, and suddenly people are being pulled over for being a terrorist, and
they're not. Yeah. Well, that's scary.
Well,
Thanks
hackers
for that,
have
Paul.
control over all sorts of stuff. If they want to get into the system and stop all the stoplights, for example, create chaos and just
easily done. Apparently,
I mean, they got all the credit cards for Target.
Right. All these businesses are regularly hacked. Taylor Swift apparently uses facial recognition at her concerts to track down stalkers. Now, who is using that? She is using that, and who does she have who's actually identifying all this stuff? I mean, who are these people? They're just... But she's hired some company, I guess, that has the cameras, and people come in at the concert and look in the camera. Hi, yay, Taylor! And they run it through a database to see if any of them have
meet the criteria.
They can find out if they've sent her threatening emails or something.
Right.
And who are these guys?
And it might be legitimate for her to protect herself.
Of course,
totally.
Of course, but meanwhile, again, what if false recognition, which is what the data is all about. The more faces they have, the more they can work on facial recognition. Anyway, 415-663-8492. This is Let's Talk, and we're talking about surveillance of all kinds.
So cameras, we got them here in Point Reyes Station.
Point Reyes Station.
We do?
Where are the cameras?
Of course. Where there's a business, where there's a post office, there's a camera.
Or somebody's front porch.
Yeah, on the porches for sure. I know of a house where there are 7 cameras outside.
Wow.
Because
they can.
The owner is not on best of terms with the neighbor, and there have been strange things happening. And it's also an Airbnb weekend place, and so part of the problem is that cars have blocked the driveway, which is shared with the neighbor, so she has to keep track of that, and can do so. In fact, I can get it on my phone.
You can see what her camera is seeing?
I can see because I work on that house, yeah. And we have a caller. Hi, caller. You are on the air. What's your name, please?
And if you come into my shop, you will be on camera.
Ah, yes. The Point Reyes Jeweler.
At Point Reyes Jeweler. And after I got held up 3 years ago, right before I got held up, I didn't have any cameras. And so right after the horse was stolen, I locked the barn door.
Yeah.
I got cameras. And so I have cameras, 2 cameras outside and 3, I think, inside.
Wow.
Yep.
You're covered.
Well, I can understand that.
Yes, a jewelry store, of course.
But you're not collecting data other than...
I am collecting data. I mean, that's what you're talking about, right? You asked where the cameras were in Point Reyes Station, and I just called in to announce.
There's some in your shop, so
that
don't
you want
break in.
people to know.
Yes.
In fact, people put phony cameras up just so...
You think there's a camera.
They think there's a camera.
Yeah, and if I had dummy cameras up, which cost $6.99 a piece or something like that, rather than the, whatever the whole system cost me, if I had dummy cameras up, who knows? I might not have gotten held up.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
And I suspect that there are other businesses in town. When I put cameras up outside for the parking lot, nobody has said a word about it. And I sort of expected that I might get some blowback, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, maybe you will now.
Maybe I will. That's possible. To be honest, the system is complicated enough that trying to figure out, if I wanted to go back over the last 15 minutes to see who pocketed that necklace from my case, it's really a hassle to do for me because I'm not experienced with how to make the software work. But if I, when you go to a gas station, they've got cameras all over the place, and they've got a display that shows each one of those cameras and what's on the display. And it's, I'm sure if I learned how to do it, it would be pretty, I'd be conversant with it. It'd be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, you just need a couple of thumb drives, and it'll record everything.
What about that thumb drive?
Well, to actually save the footage, you have to have some way of saving the footage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do have a hard drive that's doing that.
There you go. Good to know.
So, but yeah, if you look around, cameras are pretty unobtrusive. And now with wireless cameras that you can go to Costco or on Amazon, you can buy a wireless camera that will go directly to your phone. And, they look like a book, or you can buy them so that they're completely disguised. So you're undoubtedly, even here in beautiful, benign Point Reyes Station, you're likely to be photographed more than you know.
More than you know, and who's looking for it, really? We're not.
I'm sure there are a few other callers waiting for me to get off the phone so they can announce the name of their business.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Well, good. It's good to know you are safer than you were before.
So there is a valid business purpose.
Of course. Oh, of course. Thank you, David.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thanks David.
Bye. We still have a few. in 3 minutes, give us a call, 415-663-8492. The pros and cons of surveillance cameras. Is it two?
Both of them.
Both lines. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
We have two callers on the line. Whoever dialed 8492, give us a... What's your name, please?
Oh, hi. This is Gail. Can you hear me?
Hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Yes.
Hi. Good. We did it.
And who's on the other line?
Johnny Moore up here in Reading, listening to you guys.
Good heavens,
right.
Johnny. How are you?
Well, you want to take care of him first?
Yeah, what do you got to say, Johnny?
Okay, I was in Vancouver, Washington. I go into a Fred Meyer, and they're all through Oregon. So I go into this department store, and I talk to this guy who does not work for the store itself. He's just selling other things at a table. But he seems to be pretty adept on these things and on stuff. And so I just casually asked him, I said, there's no security guards in here. He says, no, we don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
I said, really? He says, no, they don't need them in the store because of the camera systems. And I said, well, what do you mean? How does that work? He said, well, when you walk through the door, the facial recognition technology has you.
Wow.
Then it stores you. And then the next time you go into the store, it retrieves you. It knows where you go.
Hang on.
It knows where you go, while you go down to shop. As well, his case was that it's used for shoplifters. That there is a particular profile for shoplifters that they go in and they will usually go straight to what they want and get out of the store as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And so this technology now recognizes those people, and it does not arrest them. They have a cap. You have to steal $1,000 worth of stuff in order to have it get prosecuted.
Wow. So this is a big mart, like a Walmart or something.
Yes, it is. Yeah, they're all it's kind of like the old Payless used to be,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, thank you, Johnny. We gotta get a move on here, but thank you for calling. That's great. That's a great story.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
All our friends up there.
And
thank you,
Gail.
Hi. Well, and I was thinking of another situation in my office, which is a medical office. There was a period of time, where I have things that are attractive to some people, and I kept feeling like things were missing, and I couldn't really get the security right within the office. And I got a small camera and put it up in the room, and then nothing ever happened again. So I think it really worked as a deterrent. Rather than I've ever discovered any crime being committed or prevented, but maybe prevented one. I don't really know, but it was an interesting to just kind of have something there that would make someone think twice, because really these aren't, we're not talking about major criminals with mal intent. Just those opportunities, crimes of opportunity or whatever.
So it was a visible camera, not like a little spy camera.
No,
so you could actually see it.
Small, discreet, but visible. I mean, if you were going to steal something, you'd look around probably,
Right. Well, interesting. That's, the deterrence of, that's why they sell, as David was saying, fake cameras that you just stick up there with double-sided tape.
Exactly. So,
thank you, Gail.
It's good to pay attention.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all our listeners and callers and the whole world.
Up in Oregon.
And everyone online, thank you. Thank you for everyone listening locally and wherever you are. This KWMR does not take a stand on any of the issues discussed on Let's Talk. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and callers and don't necessarily reflect the views of KWMR, its board of directors, underwriters, or members. And thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Paul.
My pleasure.
And now we're all going to go and walk around Point Reyes Station
for
and
the
looking
cameras.
for the cameras. Here's an appropriate little piece of music from way back, and we'll talk to you next Thursday. Bye for now.